we are going to be talking about possibly the worst call in Major League Baseball playoff history. Now, I'm sorry, Red Sox fans. I hate to do this to you because you guys did me a solid and knocked the Yankees out of the playoffs. But we have to talk about how the Houston Astros got absolutely screwed over by Joe West in Major League Baseball last night in Game 4 of the ALCS. A little context on the situation here. Bottom of the first inning, 1 out, man on first base. The Astros are already down 2-0 to the Red Sox. Jose Altuve steps to the plate, 2-1 count, takes an outside pitch from Rick Porcello, and smacks it to right field. The ball's carrying. It looks like it's going to be a home run. Mookie Betts jumps up to the wall, reaches into the crowd to try to catch it, misses it, looks like it clanks off his hands, looks like it clanks off the Astros fans' hands, looks like it should be a home run. But wait, here comes Big Country Joe West, one of the most famous umpires of all time, which is not a good thing, by the way, as you never want an umpire to be famous, because typically when you know who the umpires are, it's not because they do a great job, it's because they're bad at their job. But here comes Big Country Joe. He's running out. He's the right field umpire again. For some insane reason, Major League Baseball has a huge problem with what they do with the umpires in the playoffs to begin with. But again, we'll get into that later. But Country Joe comes chugging out there and he calls it an out. That's right. Country Joe West felt that Mookie Betts was going to make that catch guaranteed. Keep in mind, this is a sport where you cannot assume a double play. Keep in mind that when errors are given, it's on routine plays where you can assume an out. Never in my life have I ever seen a baseball game scored where someone goes up to try to rob a home run and doesn't catch it, calling it an error, because if you call it an error, you should assume that that play should have been an out. But Joe West called it an out. I mean, what? Now, there is reasoning as to why he might have called it an out off the bat, but it's absolutely insane. Here's what MLB Rule 316 says. Should a spectator reach out on the playing field side of such fence, railing, or rope and plainly prevent the fielder from catching the ball, then the batsman should be called out for the spectator's interference. Now, if that's what happened, hell, Joe West made a great call. It would have been okay. But that's not what happened, and everybody who's watching the game knows it. And yes, I'm talking to you Red Sox fans. I'm sorry I have to call you out, but it's insane how blind you are sometimes. Because to think an Astros fan reached over the fence into fair territory, into play, to stop Mookie Betts from catching that ball is wild. And what's even more insane is that Joe West called it an out on first look. How do you not call that a home run? How do you not say that's even a double at first look? To call it an out is absolutely insane. And again, I'm not an Astros fan. I'm a Mets fan. And yes, I'm ready for the comments where you're going to say that you predicted the Astros to win the series. I honestly don't care if my predictions become correct or not. My ego does not go down when I get my predictions wrong. It's baseball at the end of the day. It's the hardest sport to predict. I'm a New York Mets fan. They're not in it. All these games, they don't mean anything to me. I just want to see good baseball. And one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this is because if I was an Astros fan, or if this happened to the Mets, and this was... I would lose my mind. I lost my mind when the Chase Utley slide happened against the Mets, and the Mets ended up winning that series. This play could knock the Astros out of the playoffs. They're currently down 3-1 to the Red Sox. They lost that game by how many runs yesterday? 2 runs. 8-6 was the final score. Now, is this the reason why the Astros lost yesterday? Absolutely not. But at the end of the day, the difference was 2 runs. And because of this call by Joe West in Major League Baseball, the Astros lost by 2 runs. Now, for those of you who don't necessarily believe me at this point, I'm sure I have a clip up of it at some point already. We're going to take a closer look at this play. Now, because Joe West made a terrible call and called it out on the field, Major League Baseball needed definitive evidence to overturn the call. Ultimately, Major League Baseball felt that there wasn't definitive evidence to overturn this call. Therefore, it's still called an out because that's what it was originally on the field. Which again, is why I have such a big issue with what Country Joe West did. I mean, how do you call that an out on first glance? If anything, you just go with the let the play out and see what happens. You call it a double, worst case scenario. But to call it an out on first glance, to call it an out on the field when it happens is just wild. But let's take a closer look at this play. So first, let's take a look at the play in real time. Jose Altuve hits the outside pitch. It's going out to the right field. Mookie Betts is busting on his horse to the right field wall, jumps up, reaches over to the fence, and it seems like he misses it. Joe West called it out. Now we take a closer look. Let's get some different angles in here. So this first video here has been going around a bit. It's more of a front view, as if you were looking at it from maybe second base. You see Mookie Betts jump up. You see the Astros fans' hands collide with his glove. There's no doubt in my mind that the Astros fans hit his glove. Were they trying to catch a baseball that was coming to them over the fence and protect themselves, or try to get a souvenir? 100%. Was Mookie Glove's arm over the fence? In this video, you cannot definitively tell, but I mean, anybody who watched the game or is looking at this video knows that it is. But again, the issue is that it was called out on the field. And by looking at this camera angle, you can understand why it wasn't overturned. As much as everybody and their mother knows that his arm was over the fence, that the Astro fans did not reach over and interfere, you cannot definitively prove that it didn't happen. And again, it lies on Joe West for making the insane call of out on the field. Personally, this is my favorite camera angle here. It's more so along the line of the fence. Now, there is no perfect, as if a camera was right on the fence and you could look right down and see exactly where people cross over and where Mookie Betts crosses over. But this is the most specific one, and honestly, I think the best angle that proves that Mookie Betts was in the stands when he was going after this ball. And again, nothing against Mookie Betts here. He's going after the ball. Like, he didn't cheat or anything like that. I don't want to make that the commentary if it sounds like it. He was going after the ball. He was playing hard. Props to him. He almost made an insane play. But from this angle, in my personal opinion, and the opinions of a lot of people, it looks like Mookie Betts' arm is over the fence. Essentially, here's the fence. Here's what his arm's looking like. The Astros fans, did they reach out? Yes, but it does not look like they reached out over the fence into play. Here are the rules about if you go into the crowd to make a play. No interference shall be allowed when a fielder reaches over a fence, railing, rope, or into a stand to catch a ball. He does so at his own risk. Looks like the Astros fans, again, if this is the fence, they're like, I want to catch it. Or though, if this was the fence, let's say this is the fence, they were like, I'm reaching out to catch it here, but my arm's not here. It's here. And then boom, they collided. Now, this is a lose-lose situation for Major League Baseball no matter what, in my opinion, because Joe West put them in a terrible situation. He called it out. If you overturn it, you're going to have the Red Sox fans saying, how can you overturn this? There's not enough evidence to exactly prove what happened. And of course, by not overturning it, you have the Astros, but also most of Major League Baseball going, what? How? I'm not sure if I'll be able to find a clip of it, but last night after the game, you had Pedro Martinez, Jimmy Rollins, and Gary Sheffield talking about it. Every single one of them said that it was an insane call. They don't understand how it was called out. Because think about it. How do you go from hitting a home run to just all of a sudden being out? Never has a home run being robbed been an assumed out. I mean, that's just insane to think about. Again, I said it earlier in the video, but this is a sport where you cannot assume the double play, which is a much more routine play than jumping up over the wall to try to catch a home run. It's just truly insane. And I think the blame mostly falls on Joe West again. Like I said, how do you call that out from the first look at it? I mean, just like, how does that happen? And it also falls on Major League Baseball for not making the right call. Mookie Betts is clearly reaching over the fence to try to catch this ball. Therefore, by the MLB rules, he is doing so at his own risk, and no interference shall be called. Joe West doesn't know the Major League Baseball rules. He's a bad umpire. It's time for him to go. And if he's not going to go, don't put him in the outfield. Major League Baseball's rotation rules with how the playoffs go and umpires moving around is stupid. You should have the best guys at each position for every single game. There should be no rotation. I mean, we have instant replay. The reason we have it is to be able to get more angles to get the call right. And honestly, they didn't get the call right in this game. And I'm not a huge fan of instant replay. I personally think it slows down the game so much. It used to be so great when the call was made and that was it. But I mean, if we have replay, you've got to get the call right, especially what's on a national stage, ALCS. It means a whole lot. You need to get these calls right. And if you're not going to get the calls right, what's the point of having instant replay? Because now you just have this huge controversy going around baseball. It doesn't make the sport look good. It makes the Umpires Association look bad when not every single umpire is bad. It pushes the agenda of robotic umpires more, even though technically it's not the balls and strikes that were the problem. But you just have to get the call right. That's why you put replay there, to get the call right. And it was wrong. So, do you think that this is one of the worst calls in Major League Baseball playoff history? Because honestly, I think it is. This could be a huge deciding factor in the rest of the series. The Astros are now down 3-1 as opposed to being maybe tied up at 2-2. Now, let's say this was given a home run call. I don't think the Astros are guaranteed to win the game, but they're definitely not going to guarantee to lose it like they were last night. Remember, they lost 8-6. This is a 2-run home run. The game's tied up. But I would love to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What did you think about this call? Did they screw it up? Did they get it right? Let's have a conversation. Let's talk. I also want to mention that I'm thinking about live streaming during the Astros Red Sox game tonight, doing like a live watch party type thing. So if that's something you're interested in, subscribe so that you do see when I am streaming. This is something that I want to test out tonight or in one of the upcoming games because I do plan on doing this during the World Series. I think it's a fun way to interact with you guys. We get to watch the game together. Now, of course, course, I cannot have the game up on the screen. It'll just be pretty much me, audio, a little scoreboard, a little update, maybe a little MLB game day or something like that. I can't have the actual game going. But if this is something that does interest you, let me know in the comment section below. You can talk about it. I'm gonna give it a test as long as I can get my camera working to stream, because the webcam that I have is horrible quality. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you enjoy the content. I know I've been away from the channel for a few days, but I've been very busy with school. Leave a like on it as well. You can follow me on Twitter at GiraffeNeckMarc, as well as my Instagram. Let's talk baseball over there. And that's gonna be pretty much it for this video. YouTube recommends that you watch this video right here. You could also click this one and you can click my face to subscribe too. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.